to define desire in almost a one statement so that we have a parameter to see what is a desire and what is not a desire. Because in India also a lot of friends asked me, how do we distinguish between what is desire and what is, let's say, a longing? How do we differentiate? Sometimes the mind is too clouded to even differentiate between two states of our own beings. So I thought it would be interesting to probably define it in one line so that we all get a parameter. So the way I would define desire is that something which is extremely self-focused, that something where the beneficiary of the fulfillment of desire is just you. You are the sole beneficiary of that. Directly or indirectly. Because there are many layers of it. And that which is not self-focused alone, that which has a bhav, which has an underlying feeling of spreading the support, help, joy, evolution, light to all beings, where the beneficiary of your action is you, not you alone, where the beneficiary of your act is others, is all beings, is nature. That I would call as not a desire. That I would call as the heartful longing, or any other word that we want to give. But that is something which does not take me into the loop of suffering. So again, let's take an example. Is let's say last time I gave the example of having an impulse to eat a chocolate. So let's take the same example. So there is a desire and an impulse to eat a sweet, for an example, or to acquire a phone, for an example, or to get a new house, or whatever that is, where the direct beneficiary of your action is you alone, the selfish self alone. That is a desire, classified as a desire. Taken another example, I'm walking on a road and I see this barren path or a barren pockets of land, and a feeling arises in me that why can't we grow a forest in this? I do not know how it works in the West, but in India, you can actually go out and grow forest even on the government land. People won't object, even the authorities won't object. So I'm walking on a street, on a road, and I see this barren patch, and a wish or a feeling arises. Then why is it barren? Can't we grow some trees here? And I start to grow the trees there. Now this feeling or wish that arose is not a desire, because the beneficiary of this act is not me alone, or I'm not doing it for my personal gain. There is a feeling of, I'll use the Sanskrit word, there is a feeling or sense of sarva kalyanam, which means a well-being for all. So my action is initiated from the space of well-being for all. Yeah. Now it does not classify it as a desire, and hence it won't cause or create a loop of suffering. Yeah. Or third scenario, it can still cause a loop of suffering if I get attached to it, saying that since I have planted this forest, it's my forest. So the my or sense of me arises. Now even the selfless act I've converted into a desireful act. Are you able to follow this? Or I would say, even the result of a selfless act, I have converted the result into a desireful result. Are you able to see? So when the wish arises in me to plant a forest, When the wish arises, support it by an action. It is still selfless. It's still not desire. The action is done, the forest is planted or the tree is planted. And now, in the process, I become attached to the outcome of this action. I become attached to the expected result of this action. Who becomes attached to the result of this action? I. The moment this I came into this so-called selfless process, boom, it's corrupted the whole thing suddenly. Suddenly, the desire has got in. Are you understanding? So the act was not desireful, but the expectation of outcome became desireful. One way or the other, desire entered. And that's how desire works. It's very subtle. Sometimes in the act it won't enter, but it will attach itself with the expectation or with the result of that action. And as I'm saying, no matter at which stage desire enters, stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3, the moment it enters, you're in for a loop of suffering. Yeah? So, if you want to write it on your boards in your rooms or wherever, I think this chain you must remember always. And do not just get satisfied that at the time when the action was initiated, there was no desire. Because even later on, 2 years down the line when the forest is taking shape, the desire can still enter. Yeah? So the word again, I will use the Hindi word called satat. And in English, the equivalent would be continuous. A continuous investigation, observation, and awakening is needed to make sure that this virus called desire does not enter into our system at any stage. You have to be extremely observant, awake, watching. Yeah? So keep this framework, keep this chain in your consciousness always. Huh?